Okay, so I've got the building there looking pretty good in 3D. We'll worry about the roof at the back later. That's a very easy roof to add on afterwards. But as long as you've got the ceilings there, then when you look at the interiors, that's going to be an enclosed space. The windows that you've got on the side here, you can of course just use the window families that we used before for the double windows. And then the one that's single at the back, you'll easily find a double hung single window family if you have a look in the library. And then, what I really want to show you though is how we can get this site to show a bit better in 3D, because at the moment it just looks like a flat, grey, boring surface. So I'm going to go back to the site with image, ground floor with image drawing, and then you can see that we've got the boundary showing there. Oh, that was the property line, so we did that right at the beginning, just using property lines on the modifier. Also, Mass Against Site tab, you've got property line. So no, well, you want to trace it over the image. So I've got it in site image as well. And then if we go to wireframe, I can see there the site plan's lined up in that view, and in the ground floor it's lined up as well. So you need that as a minimum. The property line needs to be there. And so all I really wanted to show you is subregion. So it's also on the Mass Against Site tab, you've got subregion. Subregion. So over here, Mass Against Site, then towards the end you've got that subregion button. And so I'm in a view where I can see the property line. And then I'm going to trace that. And I'm going to risk using pick lines here, so I know that it might crash, so I've just saved it to make sure. And again, I'm going to use pick lines because it should work. Going around, yep, it's working without crashing. So that's it. So tick to finish, and now if I go to my 3D view, notice that I can see the site. So that's my surface, the grey, and then I can see the outline of our site there, coming up really clearly. And so then we can select that, and now the material will come up in properties. And I'll go to browse, and I'm going to go to the site hardcore material and duplicate it, and I'm going to call it site driveway is what I want to call it, even though it's a bit more than just a driveway. Let's call it that. And then I'll go to appearance and right click and replace. Go to my appearance folder and then site work, and I'm just going to find one of these asphalt materials. That'll do. Asphalt 3, not too dark. Back to graphics and use render appearance. And I've got a material, and now just watch out though, because you'll see that sometimes when you do everything right, it still doesn't assign it properly. So you've got to select it again, click back to there where it's got by category and browse, and then just click OK, and it will assign it. It's one of those little bugs with 2018, easy to get around. So that makes it much easier to work in when you can see the site in 3D, right? Because if it's just a plain surface, it's not that useful. But now that we can see different materials, we can see that the site stands out. And so then you could even take it further and start to draw in some of the streetscape. So if this was a real project, what I'll be doing is going to my True North view and inserting some satellite images. Okay, so that's an easy thing that you can try. You don't have to do this, but it's a nice thing to do. And so, do you know how to get satellite images of the site? Yep, spot on. Yep, good stuff. Yeah, because Google Maps is good. So if you go to Google Maps and it's 1727 Mona Vale Road. Yep. oh, it's a Pittwater Road, Mona Vale, sorry, not Mona Vale Road. Pittwater Road, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And obviously go to maps and you'll get a pretty good satellite view. Okay, so zooming in there, we can obviously see the site there. It's a pretty interesting site actually, so I'd definitely be tempted to do this if you haven't. And then if you have a look at that in 6 maps, I'm just going to go to, so 6 maps is the government satellite map service. So it's state government. So there, once you go to 6 maps, you can search for an address just like in Google. So 1727 Pittwater Road, Mona Vale. Okay, so there we are, so it's found it. And there we are, so if you zoom in you can see how much clearer that is than Google Maps. Unfortunately it doesn't have Street View. Right, so Google Maps is still good for a lot of things, Street View, and it gives you lots of the local amenities and other local facilities. But 6 Maps is definitely clearer. And you can see even here that the construction site over the road is at a different stage, so you probably get a better image this way. So try them both. Right, so then how do we get that into Revit? Do you know how to do a screen capture in Windows? Yep, it's even easier in Windows. You can use shortcuts, but rather than remembering a shortcut, just remember that you have the snipping tool, which has been there forever in Windows. Just works like the Mac one, but I think it's even easier. So again, the snipping tool, you can just click the new button, and then click and drag the area that you want, and that's it. Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm going to leave it highlighted because I don't mind having the building area showing. But if you want to take it away, you can just minimise it, and that'll keep it highlighted if you want that. Or you can even just turn it off if you're happy to lose that. Yeah. So I'll do another one because I know what the site is pretty clear, so we can actually do it without that. So you just go to the start menu and type snip. So if you're there, just type SNIP. That's a great thing with Windows now. You don't need to click search or anything. You just click on the start button and then just type away. Yep. Okay, so I've got the image that I want, and now I'm going to save. So save as. And I'll save it so that you can get to it. If you want to use this one. Yeah, it's brilliant because in the old days, you'd have to go out to site and measure it and take hundreds of photos and do drawings and all these other things before you could do any work. Now, when I get a client showing some interest and they give me the address, I just search for it all on this and actually can do a lot of the drawings before I've been anywhere near the site with that and Street View together. Okay, so I've just saved the 6-map file onto the P drive if you want to use that. So now my True North view, I'm going to go to Insert, click Image, find the file, there it is, click Open. I'm just going to click somewhere to place that. So there's our building. And then in the bottom left corner, we've got the scale bar. So if you remember how we were scaling that elevation before and how we scaled the plans a few weeks back, you can do this exactly the same way. So we've got the image selected. I'm going to click Scale. Click on one end of that scale bar and then the other end. and then type the size it should be, which is, of course, 10,000, 10 metres. So now if I zoom out, just move a bit. Now I can measure that scale bar to check that it's right. That should be 10,000. There we are. So it's the right scale, and visually we can see. There's the building, there's what I've drawn, and they're the same size. So now I'm going to move this into position. But of course, the photos are a different angle. So I'm going to rotate that just by clicking rotate while the image is selected. And I'm going to try and pick up the angle there so that it's parallel to the side of the building. And then bring that around so that it snaps to being horizontal, facing the opposite way. So now it's rotated the right way, and I can just drag this. I'm going to drag it from that corner there and line that up with the corner of our building. And there we go. So you can see that's fitting really well. So now I know where all the neighbouring buildings are nearby. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to select the image now and just click pin so that it doesn't move anymore. And then we can go from there. So if you wanted to model up some of the neighbouring buildings, that's a really good thing to try. Then, this is what I was thinking before, to look at model in place. Instead of using that to start your designs off, you can just go straight to model in place, and I'll use generic models for the category and set the category. I'll give the name just neighbouring buildings. And then just with extrusions, I'll set the height there to, I'm going to guess and say about 8,000, 8 metres. And then just trace off these buildings by eye. Don't be too fussy with this because you're not building these things. You just want to get it as a basic reference. Okay, so a very simple extrusion. But if you do enough of these, I'm going to do another one on the other side. Okay, so I'll just, again, very roughly for now, trace over this building. It's a nice big one. Side. Yeah, it's going to keep it simple and go right around the outside. And then I can put a curve, just using an arc to draw between those two lines. Yeah. So even just having those two things, and you'll see now if I go and look at this in 3D, we've got a much better idea of the streetscape. And so I'd do, a few of the other buildings nearby. And then so I'll finish that model, and then going back to the true north view, I can then put some more subregions. So back to massing and site, and I'll do a save, and then I'll do another subregion. Sorry, it's just saving. Okay. So, still going. Okay, so with another subregion, I'm just going to draw an arc this time, trace over that road. Yeah, that's basically just a big arc. Again, you're not building the road, so don't be too precious about the accuracy. Oops, so this should snap, it doesn't want to, so I'll just do that one again. Back there, that's probably just a straight line. That's even better. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to bring, that's a really big wide road there, so I'm just going to take this all the way to the edge. Back across to here. God, that's a huge road. And you'll be amazed when you start drawing up roads. I've drawn up a lot of them over the years, how huge they are. and wide and how much space they take up on the planet, you realise what a problem cars are after that. But anyhow, that's a really good thing to do. So, oops. So again, just drawing over this. I'm going to do that arc again, actually. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to join those lines together, and I've got a new subregion. There we are. Back into my 3D view, so that I can see the road. I've drawn it much bigger than my topo surface, but that's okay. I can always make topo surface bigger, and then I'll see more of the road. But really, all I want to do here is get an idea what the street frontage looks like. So I'll set that to have a different material. So this can be my site, tarmac. And you might think, oh, well, for interiors, I don't need to do site analysis. The reality is that the council is still going to ask you for them, even if you're doing interior design. Where's my timer? Oh, here we go. It's got one of these. This one. There we are. And again, it's going to be that thing where I've got to assign the material twice, but otherwise, that's it. Okay, so you can see then just having that little bit of extra detail helps to put your whole project into some sort of context. And again, if you've made your sub-region bigger than your surface, you don't lose it. If I go back and edit this surface now and extend it, just by doing some more points or moving the points, you can see there it's showing me now straight away the road. So that's maybe a bit too far because I don't want to see all of that. There you go, that's pretty good. And maybe you can bring it back on the other side. Just make it a bit neater. Okay, I'll just get rid of those points. There, that's it. That's all I want. So that's pretty good. So just having the road is a nice thing. And then when you do exterior views, even at this stage, if I do a camera view from the other side of the street looking towards those buildings, we know what we're looking at. It's not just a building floating in space. And that's just a nice thing to have. And again, if you have to do site analysis, that's often going to give you a really good starting point. But even if you don't, later on when you do your elevations and a lot of the other views, it's nice to have the nearby buildings. And with your shadow diagrams, things like that, having those nearby buildings, again, gives you that setup.